Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Simply Cyber Live, the 1 hour weekly long form live stream interview with cybersecurity professionals who are here to share their experience, their knowledge, their good times with the Simply Cyber community. And we have a banger of a show lined up for you today. I am super, super excited to be bringing the penetration tester, content creator, educator, speaker, overall community awesome person, Tib3rius, on for a full hour. We are going to be able to find out all about Tib3rius, all about his journey, and also get all of your questions answered. I want to say shout out to everybody in chat right now. I see a lot of familiar faces: Matt McDaniel, Nia, Divine Dream Divine, Ms. Kimberly with the Yeets. Very nice, Kimberly. So we got a great show for you. I hope you are excited. I would strongly recommend you grab a pen and paper because I have suspicion that Tib3rius is going to be dropping knowledge bombs on everyone. Just to give everybody a little bit of perspective, Tib3rius has been a pen tester for over 10 years. He has content on Udemy for privilege escalation, and he is just a boss. I've had multiple people tell me how amazing it is. I was talking to Heath Adams, aka the Cyber Mentor, last week. He referred to Tib3rius as a wizard, and that he thought he was okay. Like, he thought he was good at pen testing, and then he saw Tib3rius work, and he was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. He's also known for developing the tool Auto Recon, which is amazing for CTFs and OSCP. And we'll go to that. You can pull it down on the GitHub. And near and dear to my heart, content creation live stream. And Tib3rius, you can catch him at least on Wednesdays for sure. We'll get into it and ask him what other projects he's working on. Doing stuff over on TCM's YouTube channel with the Hack Along Wednesdays live stream. So a wealth of information, an amazing professional. I'm super excited to get to it. I hope you are too. Drop your questions in chat and we'll go get Tib3rius. What's up, Tib3rius, man? How are you?
Hey, I was just thinking I need to hire you as my hype man.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? It's easy when you've got a resume or a CV as well defined as you. So yeah, no, thanks for being on the show, man. And yeah, all well-deserved accolades. And I'm serious. I was talking to Heath the other day. We were talking about something else, and I was like, "Oh, I got Tib3rius coming on." He's like, "Oh my God." He actually referred to you as a wizard. So that's high praise. And definitely very cool. So you recently, if people follow you on social media, they would know that you recently were at ShmooCon. In fact, I found out ShmooCon was going to be ending next year because of your social media posts. How was ShmooCon?
Not because of. No, hang on a minute. That sounds like my social media posts took down ShmooCon.
No. I'm saying you were just communicating out. Yeah. Like if you're upset about ShmooCon, blame this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I tweet about it that it's ending now. It's done. Yep. Yeah, that was. Yeah. So they announced it at the opening ceremony, which actually I think everyone was glad they did and didn't just drop it at closing, because it meant that people kind of treated it like their last con. I think just in case they don't get tickets for next year.
Yeah. So was there a general, and just so people who don't know in chat know, ShmooCon is it's an annual DEF CON like conference in DC that happens every winter. And in my opinion, it was designed to be offsetting of DEF CON, both in time of year and location, to be more accommodating to everybody. So it's got a lot of vibes. It's been around at least 10 years, maybe 15 years.
20.
Like, yeah, 20, is it? Okay, so it's got a long pedigree. So that's what the conference is. So was there a general malaise or like did it suck the energy out of the room knowing that they had made that announcement, or was it more of a celebration? Not to say like you were celebrating, but had an opportunity to appreciate.
I think a lot of people obviously sad it was ending. So actually, they said that basically this year was supposed to. They had planned like maybe 5 or 6 years ago to end it after 20.
Mm-hmm.
And this was technically the 20. This wasn't the 20th one. It's the 20th year, but obviously they cancelled because of COVID.
Right.
So they figured we're not going to end it on ShmooCon 19. We're gonna carry it technically and do 21 years. So yeah, I think everyone was a bit sad, but like they said at the end, like they wanted to announce it and be upfront with everyone on day one, just so it wasn't. Otherwise, to be honest, it would have sucked more if they'd announced it at the end that like, oh, by the way, this was the penultimate one.
Yeah.
So I think everyone kind of, I felt like that everyone kind of partied harder, and spent a lot more time like experiencing ShmooCon than they probably would have otherwise. But yeah, next year is going to be insane, I think. Because if you don't know, if people don't know about ShmooCon, you said they're DEF CON like in terms of style, definitely, but in size, they limit ticket numbers to like 2,200 tickets or something. So it's a very small conference. But a lot of people show up, and even without a ticket, and just stay in the lobby and basically, party with everyone else. So I feel like next year, even though it's still going to be the small conference, there's going to be more people in the hotel than there are tickets for sure.
That's interesting, and that's another kind of like almost mythical piece of ShmooCon is that they call it F5 day for like when you're, I guess I don't know if F5 still does reloaded browsers, but a million years ago like F5 was how you refreshed your webpage, and they call it F5 day because it's basically just a run. And I think like mere mortals can't get it. Like you basically have to write like a sniping script to do it, right? I mean, did you speak this year or?
I didn't, but yeah. So I actually got my ticket via complaining,
Okay.
because this was actually my first ShmooCon, and I'd never done the ticket thing before. I'd heard about ShmooCon before, but I took issue with the way that they said on the website that there was something that would happen on the page, and anyway, long story short, I made a suggestion on how they could improve the process, because I obviously failed to get a ticket. So I shot them an email saying, "Hey, by the way, you should probably change this on your site and do this, this, and that." And they were like, "That's a good idea that nobody suggested, and we've had the same thing for like 6 years, so we'll do that." And then they just offered me a free ticket. So
Oh, very cool.
that was nice of them. But yeah, it was. I don't think that's going to happen next year. So I don't know. But there are a few ways, obviously. Yeah. So I believe actually they're one of the few conferences where if you do get accepted to speak, you aren't guaranteed a ticket. So
Wow.
you need to get basically be accepted as a speaker and also have a ticket. However, there is a way of you can sponsor a student. So basically, you can buy a student's ticket as well as your own, and then you have a greater chance of basically getting there. But I feel like a lot of people are going to do that next year as well.
Yeah, for sure. I went in 2012, I believe, and I got my ticket a very similar non uniform way. I basically emailed them and was like, "This is bullshit." Like, and and they're like, "Well, if someone cancels or whatever, like we'll let you know." Like they basically put me on a wait list that like wasn't even official wait list, and then I was young and we didn't have kids or anything, so they called me like 5 days before, and I was like, all right, done. Like, let's go. Like I had a lot of flexibility. So definitely very, very cool. For sure. So, all right. So next year, the final one. So everybody hop on that. And if not, then you did experience it this year. What was your overall vibe? How does it stack up against other conferences?
It's definitely yeah. I mean, honestly, I went to more talks at ShmooCon than I usually do at conferences, but it was I think it was great. I liked how how small it is, but it still felt like it had there was like stuff to do always. So that was nice. They have like 3 different tracks. It's a very sort of party conference, I would say.
Yeah,
So
I would say
if
so.
you're not if you're not going to one of the talks, then you just go upstairs to the bar and drink. So
Yeah.
I did enjoy it though. I definitely want to go next. I mean, I'll definitely will go next year, even if I don't get a ticket. I'll probably show up and just hang out at the lobby, and I'm sure there'll be lots of extracurricular stuff to do.
Oh, no shortage. Like when I went, it felt very much like, oh, this must have been what like DEF CON was like before DEF CON blew up,
Right.
So I want to pivot a little bit. So okay, you had mentioned emailing them and giving them suggestions, and they said thanks a lot, and they hooked you up with a ticket. So like, one thing that I do a lot of, Tiberius, in my community and for the greater cybersecurity community is promote networking. Like, I'm like, networking. It's so incredibly valuable. And it's not always like, glad handing and shaking hands at conferences and stuff, but like doing stuff. So you, for example, taking it upon yourself to offer up some constructive feedback and an opportunity for them to improve their processes. You didn't do it so you could get a free ticket. That just happened to be because you got it right. And I think that's a great example of networking. So I want to take you way back to the beginning of your career. Now, I know, just briefly, I know that you had spent some time as like a software engineer for a little bit, or for 6 months. And then basically someone took a chance on you and gave you an opportunity as a pen tester. I feel like that story, if you could tell it a little bit in deeper detail, will really resonate with a lot of people in chat, because a lot of people are constantly, struggling to like break in or understand how networking can be of value. Would you mind taking us back there and just share that for the benefit of everyone?
Yeah, sure. I think, and I always have to preface this when talking about how I got into the industry, because people are always asking. Like, I entered the industry in 2011, so it was a lot different back then.
Mhm.
um, so like, these days you can't really get a junior pen test interview like without, like, to be honest, without much like a cert or something, or some kind of advanced degree, honestly. Back then I did have a degree, but I didn't have any experience of any kind. I was working. It wasn't really a software development. It was in the security industry, so it was an auditing product, and I was writing sort of checks for it. So it was kind of a programming job, but it was definitely more security aligned.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and then after 6 months, it was basically like a probationary thing. After 6 months, they were like, "We like you, but we can't give you like a full term thing, but we'll keep you on like a monthly rolling contract." Which I was like, "Okay, but that's kind of sucks." So I, so I thought, I'll just, I should go be a pen tester now. Like, I've got enough experience, not doing pen testing, so now I'll go do pen testing. And I think I applied to 3 places. Um, Bombed the first 2 interviews at the first 2 places, and then met up with my who was to become my boss. And basically, yeah, he gave me a chance, which was really nice of him, considering I had absolutely no real skills in pen testing at that point.
So,
Um,
did you
but
know him
yeah,
already? Like, had you had
no,
okay, okay, all right.
yeah, it was literally a chance that he took. So he'd hired someone else straight out of college, basically, and he'd done very well. So he was kind of okay with taking chances on people. Um, and then he hired me, basically, yeah, almost straight out of college. And then years later would say, yeah, he lucked out with us too. um, he was like we tried hiring more people out of college and it didn't work out. So he I think he sort of he grounded himself as like, okay, well, I kind of hit a kind of like jackpot on the first 2 attempts at this,
Yeah.
but it's not like a rule. Um, so yeah, networking honestly didn't have much to do with it. I think networking is way more important these days, though, because again, I like to say when quoting that story that I basically tripped and fell into
Mhm,
cybersecurity.
mhm.
Um, it's not as easy as that these days. So
Oh,
I
but
think
you
networking
did
definitely
bomb the
helped.
2 interviews, though. So, I mean, you were facing some adversity. It wasn't just like,
Right.
instant traction, so, you felt a little of the burn,
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely think it's a lot about who you know in this industry as well.
Mhm.
Because obviously, if you do get your name out there, then like you're Googleable. I've done hiring at cybersecurity companies before, and I can tell you for sure that that's one of the first things I do when I get a resume. Is like copy the name into Google, and I see like what can I find? Like, has this person posted anything on GitHub? Like, interesting. Have they written blog posts?
Mhm.
Um, Like if they have a LinkedIn, are they doing content on LinkedIn? It's that kind of stuff. And I should preface and say that, like, if you don't have any of that stuff, that's fine. That's not like a deal breaker or anything. But it just gives me more things to sort of dive into in an interview. Is to basically mention, oh, I saw on your GitHub you did this. Can you talk about that? Because a lot of what I like to do, and I think what a lot of people do when hiring in cybersecurity, especially in pen test positions, is we want to see passion.
Yep.
And I think that's incredibly important. So if you can talk about security passionately, then honestly the skills don't matter that much, because the skills will come with you. You will pick up the skills because I know that you're passionate about this, so you want to learn. But yeah, I think networking's in this day and age, if you can follow people on LinkedIn, if you can get in conversations, and just put yourself out there, then you definitely have more of a chance of getting that interview.
Yeah, those LinkedIn posts, those blog posts, that's all that. It's almost like having a richer three-dimensional resume. And since people, I agree with you, I do it too. Since people are going to do it, why not set yourself up for success? So the first thing that shows up on Google is your LinkedIn page, not something you did in college that you're like, oh my God, I wish I hadn't done that. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
One thing that I'm curious about, again, because people have a difficult time trying to align with this. You were working doing this checks with this auditing software, not doing pen testing, not breaking into stuff, not all the things. Like, and you're like, oh, I'll just go be a pen tester. What was it that drove you in that direction? Were you like doing it on the side in labs and you're like, this is my thing? Or like what motivated you into the pen testing direction?
Yeah, so this back in like 2010, or no, sorry, 2008, sorry, was when I was at university. There weren't many cybersecurity degrees around. The university I went to had one of them. So that was kind of good that I had a degree. It was a computer science and information security sort of combo degree. That's how they were those days.
Mm-hmm.
You these days there are more like just cybersecurity degrees, but back then it was kind of like almost like a minor. So yeah, that introduced me to pen testing because there was a security testing module in that. But also back then, we didn't have sites like Hack the Box, but we had Hack This Site. We had a few others. Actually, Hack the Box might have been around. I actually don't know how old Hack the Box is. It might actually be that old, but we had sites that people were testing on and just having fun with. OWASP existed, so there were a few vulnerable web apps that you could download and run yourself and hack into legally. But yeah, it was mostly hobby things that and understanding that actually this can be a career, and it's a good career.
Yeah. Well, and it's certain, I mean, I feel like you have excelled at it. I mean, you don't just do it for a 9 to 5. I mean, you make content, you help others, you speak on it. So obviously you have passion for it. So I guess I want to kind of continue to follow how you came to be here, because you do penetration testing on different things, but I don't know. In my opinion, I know you for like your web application pen testing. Did you dabble with like mobile and network and like all the different kind of pen testing niches, and then just have a penchant for web apps, or is it because a lot of bug bounties are web app related? Like what drove you in that direction?
Yeah, so I think originally when I was hired as a junior, obviously I didn't really know much. I had done some personal web development before, so I always was kind of strong on the website. But as a junior, I was basically thrown into everything. So sent on site to do internal networks, the boring external stuff, web apps, mobile apps, even like thick client stuff. So yeah, when I first entered the industry, it was definitely more of that. But I just over time, you kind of realize, there's a certain type of test that I like doing more than others. And I think there's really two ways as a pen tester that you can sort of go as a career. You can either just do everything and do it well, but you wouldn't consider yourself an expert in any of the particular fields. You'd be a very good pen tester, but not say an expert in anything particular. Or you can become a subject matter expert and just focus on one area, which is what I did with web applications, because I liked web applications. I was good at testing them, and to be quite honest with you, it was the way the industry was moving. Back then, you still had companies creating thick client applications for their internal programs for people to use, but very quickly, especially in the sort of the late, I don't know what you call it, the aughties, right, or something like that.
Are you talking about like
Yeah.
2000 to 2010, like that?
Yeah.
Single digits. I think the aughts is what I've heard
aughts.
UK people say that. I haven't heard Americans say it, but I've
We'll call it
appropriated
the aughts. So yeah, during that time, because web browsers were kind of just ubiquitous, everyone had them, everyone knew how to use them, and it was easier to create web applications because all you need is a server, and then the user interface is just code. Really, it's very simple HTML usually. A lot of companies were just moving towards that. It was just easier to maintain them all. So and that's how the industry's gone. Like I don't know the exact numbers, but it's something like it's almost like 70% of all penetration tests are web apps. Just the sheer number of them. And people mostly think of web apps as websites on the internet, but there are so many websites that are just internal, company run. Not even talking about intranet, just applications that would have in the past just been an application on your desktop at work, but now they're just accessed via a VPN, and they're basically the same thing. So there's a ton of applications out there that just need testing.
Yeah, 100%. Very, very savvy with basically SaaS applications and deployment. Now, do you consider like an app like Discord or Slack? I mean, they're fat apps, but basically they're API front end. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, do you consider those like web application I'm just curious. It's a very niche question, but
yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I think Discord is technically a Chrome browser. It's a Chromium based browser. Yeah, I wouldn't consider that. I think there's a difference between web apps and then like a thick client that uses an API. There definitely is some overlap. Like API testing is basically is sort of a subset of web app testing. But yeah, I don't generally test thick client applications, even if they have a networking component, just because, to be honest with you, if you want to have a test of a thick client, you also want the application to be tested itself. And there are people who will do perfectly well, like testing an actual thick client, and do the API at the same time. So I think that's probably who you want. You don't want me to do that. I would be useless. But the web app stuff, yeah, hand me web apps every day. I'm good.
So you mentioned, so Kat, like I was going to save some of these questions from chat, but this one's very specific to what you're talking about. Caspian wants to know, you mentioned specialization with pen testing. Could you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, honestly, it's gotten better in recent years. Basically, what I mean by specialization is type of testing. So if you are a junior or you're just starting out at a pen testing company, you're probably going to want to be on every single type of web app. Oh, sorry, every single type of test that you can be on, right? Whether that's doing external testing, internal, social engineering, like phishing stuff, web applications, red team assessments, right? Or even thick client stuff and mobile apps. And just do it all and see what you like doing. If you find something boring, that's okay. Everyone finds something boring. So what I would highly recommend, is when you find the applications the type of testing that you like doing and that you feel like you could make a career out of, focus on that. Ask your manager, hey, I really like doing these. I think I'm really good at them. Can you put me on more of these tests? And take courses in those type of tests. Like we have people now who only really do cloud pen testing, right? So they do cloud infrastructure pen testing, which is totally different to regular infrastructure testing, right? So like there's an entire specialization in just that now, which is great. But yeah, I think you probably wouldn't specialize in external. You could probably do just networking, I guess, like a network test as a specialization. Red teaming, which is definitely different from just network pen testing, is a specialization as well. So I think that's what I would recommend. Find something that you like doing and just focus on that and become a subject matter expert in that. So you are the person who, when a new customer calls your company asking, "Hey, we need a cloud pen test," your manager can say, "I know exactly who to send that to."
Yeah, that's true. Make it clear, clearly communicate what you're into and where you want to go. That's another hard fast axiom to kind of live by. It brings me to one of the points I wanted to talk to you about, Tiberius. So, find what you want and lean into it and stuff. What are your thoughts around, web app pen testing as entry level? And I included bug bounty here because that's very accessible to everybody.
Yeah. I'm not so sure entry level pen testing even exists anymore. It's just the unfortunate reality of it.
Mhm.
Um, Bug bounty, the benefit of bug bounty is that yeah, anyone can just create an account on one of these platforms and just get testing. Which I kind of just enough like 10 years ago, kind of unheard of. Like there, like most companies have been like, no, why would we let random people just test our stuff? But thankfully, we live in a day and age where that's almost become the norm. So I'm incredibly thankful that bug bounty hunting has become kind of mainstream. But yeah, the good thing about bug bounty hunting is yeah, there's so much stuff out there. There's so many different types of tests that you can just try out, and there are so many free resources as well. So one of my friends who basically got into bug bounty hunting during college, um, honestly, like he registered a free edition of Burp Suite Pro, so you can get like a license for a month, which was I think it was like $450 at the time. And he was like, "Well, that gives me a month to try and find like one XSS vulnerability, which would then pay for Burp Suite
Mhm.
for a year." And so that's basically what he did, and he found XSS, and then he made a career out of it. He was, I think, by the end of the first year, he was in the top 50 on Bugcrowd.
Wow.
And then after 2 years, he graduated, and then basically went straight into an actual pen testing role. Not even, it was kind of as a junior, but everyone kind of understood that's not a junior. That's 2 years of experience. So I definitely think bug bounty is pretty much has replaced the junior pen tester kind of thing as entry level now.
Mhm.
And it's definitely, if you can get into it, I would definitely recommend getting into it.
I love it. So another kind of follow-up question to the bug bounty crowd, because I've heard two different philosophies. Um, One philosophy says like pick one of OWASP's top 10, like we'll say cross-site scripting, and get really good at it. Find those, like, jump on HackerOne or BugCrowd and like just go through all the clients and only look for XSS. Or the other one is kind of hit one target, but then try to go wide and see if you can get all the things, or choose the more obscure things, right? So like cross-site scripting, a lot of people grab those. Maybe some of the harder or more nuanced things that might not be discovered. Do you have an suggestion for someone who's listening, who's like, oh, I'm going to invest 2 years right now on bug bounty? Like, which direction would you recommend?
Um, I'm gonna cheat and just say both, but I'm gonna answer it and answer it properly. I think it is beneficial. It's definitely demoralizing starting out bug bounty testing and finding absolutely nothing. So it is good to just focus on one particular area. And yeah, I would honestly look at public reports and see which bugs are found more often. And yeah, it probably is going to be XSS. SSRF is probably up there as well. But yeah, pick a vulnerability that's quote unquote popular. Get good at that, and so you're finding bugs and getting invited to private programs. Because by the way, private programs are where most of the bugs are these days. Right, the public programs are definitely picked clean. That doesn't mean to say that they're completely empty of bugs. You got to remember, and I think people forget this. Applications are updated a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So applications. There was I forgot a colleague of mine came up with a quip a few years ago, which was which vulnerability have you deployed to your application today? Which I thought was always good. So yeah, applications are updated. So even these old programs where you look and you see that there's 1,500 bugs have been reported, that doesn't mean there aren't any bugs left. Like there could be right now, but maybe in 2 months or so they have a new feature.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely work on those. But then once you've got good and you found some bugs and you got the flow of it, then you can expand, and you can expand slowly if you want, right? So say you were just searching for XSS, maybe now you try and search for server-side request forgery or SQL injection or something like that. So I think that's probably the way to go, because ultimately you don't want to just end up being a one-trick pony, right? If the ultimate goal is to get into cybersecurity as a career, especially if you've entered using bug bounties, then pen testing is really the goal, right? Or red teaming, and you need the skills for that. So you need to have a wide range of skills, and bug bounty is a great way to develop them. So I definitely recommend starting out. Yeah, individual bugs is fine, but it's like slowly morph over time, so you're covering much wider range.
Would you suggest people go to the I think they refer to them as, at least on HackerOne, as like vulnerability disclosure programs, basically the non-financial related bug bounty programs, because there's less picked clean, like people are spending less time there. Is that a good place to
Yeah,
start?
absolutely. I mean, it depends what you're doing. If you're still in school, then absolutely, because your focus should be on your studies anyway. And yeah, if you're just trying to learn stuff, then there's no reason why you shouldn't participate in the free programs. Because yeah, ultimately this is about passion, right? It's
Hmm.
good to get rewarded for stuff, but yeah, if you can find a bug, that gives you a confidence boost at least.
Yeah, you're
So
investing
yeah.
in yourself too. Yeah. We got a ton of great questions in chat right now. I've been flagging them, guys. You have the community. You guys are bringing the heat. I love it. And Tiberius, just thank you so much for the knowledge bombs you're dropping. Chris K. Hall, Chris Weaver had questions that were very similar, so I'm going to bundle them together. What emerging technologies are affecting pen testing? And then Chris wanted to know, where do you see the future of pen testing? So I kind of bundled those together as far as tech and tech landscape and looking forward. Any thoughts from a seasoned pro like yourself operating in the space?
Yeah, I think still it's honestly I'm gonna avoid the temptation of saying AI. Um, I have controversial opinions on AI, but anyway, I think we're still sort of in the cloud era. So we have a lot of stuff moving into the cloud still, which is obviously it's better and it's worse. It's better because you have a lot of things that are sort of containerized now, and there's I guess less risk in some aspects of something being misconfigured, because either you're using a container that's sort of been pre-hardened, or you're using a service that like Cloudflare, right? Cloudflare, if you're using that for like doing your sort of denial of service protection, and proxying stuff like that, that's got like a lot of like detection methods already sort of built in to prevent stuff from going wrong, and especially if you're using it for SSL, etc. So I think that's good. But
Mhm.
then the danger obviously is, well, there have been bugs in Cloudflare before. So you do run the risk. Yeah, it's sort of like exit all your eggs in one basket kind of thing, right? So you do there is a risk associated with it, but I think it's definitely less of where it was. Um, Now the future of pen testing, yeah, I think we're still safe from AI. Um, I I like to quip that AI can't even draw hands properly still, so I think we're fine. I also don't. I'm of the opinion that we sort of throw the term AI around without really thinking about what it means. Like, are large language models actually AI? Not really. They're clever. They're very clever at doing predictive text and predictive, procedural generation and stuff. But I think there are, and this is especially true in pen testing, a lot of pen testing is puzzle solving, and it requires some degree of creativity and independent thought, which LLMs just don't have. So I think we're still okay there, and there are definitely bugs out there. Business logic vulnerabilities are a good one, as well as access control vulnerabilities. They're just very, very difficult to automate. And if we can't really automate them, if we can't really come up with, even decent code to automate them, then the chances of some kind of AI coming along to automate it is probably low as well. So I think we're okay for now. But if anything, I think what's going to happen is there's just going to be AI programs that are going to be helping pen testers.
Yeah, I was
So I
just
know
about to
that.
say, are you leveraging it for, speed of workflows and, automating the low-hanging fruit stuff that you would just grind on normally?
Yeah, it's different. So we have a video coming out soon, I think, on this. Basically using Chat GPT to help with like bug bounty hunting. There's a bunch of stuff. I think it's more. It's kind of like it's very nice to ask questions of ChatGPT, which you would otherwise have to Google
Mhm.
and perhaps search through a few results on Google. Whereas with ChatGPT, you can often get, if not the correct answer, an answer that's approximately okay and that you can build off. And also like suggestions that you can come up with. You can ask it for suggestions for word lists to use based on certain technologies, which is always good as well. So I think, yeah, there's going to be a combination. I don't think we're going to get to the point very soon where AI is going to be that ingrained with the pen test process, but it can definitely sort of assist.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I saw a meme the other day, so I can't take credit for it, but I can certainly share it. And it was, like the Flex Seal guy who like slaps like the
Yeah.
tube's got the water spewing and he slaps the thing on, and it was basically like security products right now saying they have AI, and it's like ChatGPT API calls. I mean, that's basically what it is, right? All over the
Yeah.
place.
I think there was I forget which delivery, like parcel delivery service. They had like they had a chat bot on their website to help with parcel deliveries.
Hmm.
But it was basically just Chat GPT, and like somebody got it, like basically did prompt engineering on it and got it to create poems and then swear at them. So it was so they took it down because like they posted the screenshots on Twitter, like, look, I got the chatbot on their website to basically say the F word. Which
Too
yeah,
funny.
it's yeah, people are using it, I think, too. I think that's honestly maybe why the whole OpenAI fiasco happened like a month ago. Was I think a lot of times people are moving too quickly with it,
Yeah.
and there are definite security concerns, and people need to understand that there are limitations, and you need to be careful with this technology.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. With just yeah, like people want to humanize it, but maybe pump the brakes on it. I definitely agree of using it to like take a first pass at something, right? Or to kind of accelerate like a Google search and all that. So definitely powerful, but not quite Skynet or replacing us yet. We have a ton of other questions in chat. Alana Boyajian, she actually had a question when talking about job recs, right? Because we were talking about pen testing, bug bounty 2 years in. Do companies generally look for like, oh, we're looking for web application pen tester, or is it more like we're looking for pen tester, or is it even we're looking for cross-site scripting, web app pen testing?
Yeah, so it doesn't get as specific as cross-site scripting, and it really depends on the company.
Mhm.
So obviously, a company will ultimately know um, how many, like, what percentage of like what percentage of pen tests are web apps, what percentage are internals. And certainly, you know, a sensible company isn't just going to hire internal testers, you know, when they have a lot of web apps to do. Because ultimately, the internal testers might be proficient in web apps. They might be able to do some web app testing, but they're not going to be passionate about it. They want to do internal stuff. So the previous company I was at, they really they mostly just hired senior people who were already specialists and were very blunt about, you know, well, basically tell us what you want to do and we can see if, you know, that's going to work out for us. So I think a lot of the industry is moving in that direction. But yeah, there's definitely companies that are just hiring pen testers, and you know, they say, yeah, are you okay doing internals? Are you okay doing mobile applications, web apps? And you can say, yep, and you know, that's fine too. But I think specialization is definitely the way to go if you want to further your career.
There you go. Now, another really interesting question like the question we just had was about job recs and pen test. Sometimes it's kind of hard to get that, but Jesse actually has a really interesting question. Basically, volunteering pen testing services. So there isn't a job someone's going to pay you, but you're going to volunteer. Is there anything that you might want to watch out for legally more than you normally would?
I am not a lawyer. I'm gonna say that right up front.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say probably. And it's probably a big probably. And part of why bug bounties exist is for this reason. There is a thing called a safe harbor clause, and you'll see it in bug bounty platforms. And basically, every single customer, every single program that starts a bug bounty program, right, on a bug bounty website, has to agree to safe harbor. And basically, what safe harbor says is, if someone reports a vulnerability and they haven't like gone too far with the exploitation of it, they've basically demonstrated it exists, they haven't used it for nefarious gains, they've just done the exploit, then you cannot like touch them legally. If you do, you will be kicked off the program, which I think it's important, because that there has to be some kind of trust between you know, people doing the actual testing and the programs themselves. But in terms of just volunteering, it's incredibly dangerous, and it does depend on where you live. Like, the laws for quote unquote hacking, for lack of a better term, were mostly written in the 80s. Now that there have been changes, I know the US is getting better. Actually, there was a talk at ShmooCon where we had a member of the Department of Justice who has made some changes to these laws, which is great. But the laws are not very hacker friendly. Let's put it that way. I would definitely not do it if you're in the UK. The UK has some really, really bizarre laws in regards to computer crime. The US slightly more flexible on that side, but at the same time, you've really got to be careful. So yeah, but again,
Yes.
I'm not a lawyer.
It
These are
sounds
just
like
my personal
you
opinion.
should lean towards the bug bounty platforms and kind of adopt the relationships and contractual language they've already established instead of going freelancing and freestyling. All right, definitely a good one. A lot of questions about career. So Chris Weaver coming at us again with another one. So what if you don't work in cyber already and you want to pursue pen testing? Any difference for someone who's not in cyber versus someone who can, you know, pivot within cyber, or is it the same?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I think if maybe if you're not even in a tech career, it's obviously different, because you do have to learn some base skills. But you honestly can go on like InfoSec Twitter and find people who have gone from entirely non-tech roles to pen testing. And honestly, I won't lie to you, it's hard. It's definitely difficult, but it's doable. You just have to have the passion, you have to have the drive, you have to learn. And sometimes what that might mean is you're working your 9 to 5 or even longer, and you come home and you want to go to bed, but you spend 3 hours learning stuff. Like, and you know, there we are. blessed with so many different learning resources these days. It's sites like Try Hack Me and Hack the Box, which honestly are very cheap to access, in some cases free. Portswigger Web Academy is great. Obviously, I'm going to plug TCM Security. We have a lot of great courses as well. But on top of that,
yeah, I mean,
sorry.
Heath is a perfect example. If anyone in chat looks at Heath Adams and says, wow, what a lead hacker. He was an accountant and he pivoted into pen testing. He's a perfect example of what you're talking about, Tib3rius.
Yeah. But I mean, even free resources. So obviously, YouTube is an incredible resource. The amount of content creators there, and especially honestly, with live streaming, that there's a website I was telling you about the other day, I think, which is infosecstreams.com. What it is, it's run by a friend of mine, but basically, it tracks a bunch of cybersecurity creators on YouTube and Twitch, and it will show you who's currently streaming, because streams are awesome. Not only are you learning stuff by watching these people, but you can interact with them. Most of these streamers, if you ask them a question, they're going to take the time to answer you. So that's what I would recommend. Al Hazred's on there, ending with Ali. Both of those I can vouch for, as they're really good streams. Ali does more development stuff, but she is into cybersecurity as well.
Yeah,
Al Hazred is a red
live
teamer
right now, according to this website, right? There she is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there she is.
Very cool. Like we can raid people later.
Exactly. Al Hazred, also a very good friend of mine. I've known him for years. He does red teaming for Rapid 7. So his streams are hilarious. They're pure chaos. It's amazing to watch. But he will happily answer questions, and you can tell him that I said that. So
I love it. I love it. You did tell me how to get on here with Simply Cyber, and I just haven't had an opportunity yet. But what an incredible resource! It's like it's because there's the InfoSec videos website, which is just kind of like a list of streamers. But this one's better because you, like, if they're live, you can click on it right there and off you run.
Yeah. It was created mostly because Twitch doesn't have a cybersecurity category. I was actually ranting about that on Twitter earlier, but maybe this year we'll have one. But so that was created just to track everyone, because especially at the end of streams, if you know about Twitch, you raid people at the end of a stream, and so I literally, before I end my stream, I check out infosecstreams.com and I'll choose someone to raid, and it's awesome because that's how we spread the love in streaming, is we share viewers with each other. So it's a great thing to do, I think.
I love that. This is completely unexpected. I told you how I was going to end the show, but if we can we try to raid somebody at the end of this show using that technique?
Yeah, let's raid Al. He's a friend of mine.
All right, so we'll do it. We got a couple more minutes left of the show. Hey, so let me pivot really quickly because you've been helping with career quite a bit. But I want to talk about your content creation, right? So obviously, Tib3rius, I feel like you're really well known for your auto recon GitHub, but you have been doing a lot of streaming. Here you are at Cyber Mentor doing a live stream, actively hacking, showing or actively penetration testing. I want to be, let's be fair to ourselves.
Hacking's fine.
Yeah. So, I guess can you tell us a little bit about like your active projects that you're doing right now, the Twitch, the YouTube, yourself, TCM, dump some of the stuff that you're working on, content creation, on us so we can start consuming.
Yeah, so every Wednesday on the Cyber Mentor channel, actually we use Restream, so we stream on pretty much everything. I do Web App Wednesday, which is web application hacking. And on Monday, usually, I've missed a few, but this Monday I was streaming on my own channel, twitch.tv/0x Tib3rius. Unfortunately, I don't have the Tib3rius handle on all of them. You can also see these at my link tree as well. But I stream Cyber Mentoring Monday, which is basically a beginner friendly stream. So questions are definitely encouraged. And we generally try and find an easy box to solve, and I'll explain how I'm doing it. I got my YouTube channel for other content. I've been slowly working on an interview series. So on my website, and this will scare people off if they're new to the industry, but I have some advanced web application interview questions, let's say, which have been quite popular. But other than that, I got a few projects, some courses on web application security coming up, and I'm speaking at least one conference this year, HackspaceCon, so that's fun as well.
Oh, congratulations! What is your talk about at HackspaceCon?
It's called SQL: Embracing and Avoiding SQL Strangeness.
Oh, all right. I like the
So
title of that. That sounds good.
yeah, I thought the title was quite good. But yeah, it basically it's about weird stuff in SQL that I think most people probably don't know about. It's a lot of strange things that you can do with SQL in terms of injection as well.
I love it. So what just kind of sticking with content creation, because it is a interesting sub niche of what we do in cybersecurity. How has your content creation journey been? Like, have you enjoyed it? I know there's been some private DMs that I've been involved with you about, people who are like toxic and like comments and stuff, and certain creators get more heat than others unfairly, I might add. Do you enjoy making content? What's your experience with it?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where sometimes I love it and sometimes I hate it. It always sucks when you make, you pour your heart into these things and it doesn't get as many views as you thought it would, or you get some weird comments.
Mhm.
I try and ignore them these days, just because I can't be bothered with them. But I like, it's whatever. I tried my best. But yeah, I think I definitely do enjoy it. So it's pretty much my job right now as well. So that's always good. But yeah, I try and just ignore the toxicity. I delete YouTube comments if they just get out of hand. Like, as far as I'm concerned, it's my domain. No, you can go away if you're
Yeah.
gonna say nasty stuff. What I really just get annoyed with is honestly, I'm gonna say it, just the amount of people who rag on the female content creators in this community.
Yeah.
It's really absolutely absurd the amount of hate that women get for no other reason other than they're women. Like they're exactly the same like knowledge as me in a lot of cases. In a lot of cases, way more knowledge than me.
Yeah.
I'm continually impressed by them, and yet they said they seem to get so much more hate. So that really has to stop in this community. That's the one thing in this community I would change. Generally speaking, and if you spend time at conferences, cybersecurity people are great. I think it's lovely because we are basically a bunch of weird people, and we're just odd. But unfortunately, there's still just so much freaking toxic people in there, and unfortunately, it's mostly men, and unfortunately, most of
Yes.
the community is men. So, like, we need to be more welcoming, like overall. I think.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, and like that was what I was referring to. There's creators that. So first of all, like the comments that like you don't know what you're talking about exclusively because of your gender makes no freaking sense to me.
Right.
Then some of the things like Serena, she networks. She'll post like the DMs, like the things people send in DMs. It's like completely out of control. It's like
Yeah.
you would never ever. That's in no way acceptable. I don't understand it, and it really does suck, especially for those content creators, but for all of us, because it is a lot of work, and just like
Yeah.
driving by and throwing a mean thing out the window at someone. It's like what are we doing here? And I agree 100%. I feel like we got you've been around since 11. I feel like we've come so far because Twitter used to be wicked cesspool-y. Do you remember like early infosec Twitter?
Oh yeah.
It was real bad. And I feel like the community's gotten better and better and better. And then, like you see these things and when people post in their DMs and stuff, and it's just,
Yeah.
you feel like we've made so much progress and we haven't.
Yeah. I think, and if people are watching and you've said something like that on Twitter, and I'm not gonna like rag on you, but I would just like force you to try and remember that everyone makes mistakes. Like literally, no, you could probably pick apart anyone's videos. You could probably go to John Hammond's videos and find one slip up or two slip ups in a video. You're not going to comment on that. Like, why? It doesn't matter. And ultimately, it's free content. It doesn't matter if people are wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
You correct them. Say, oh, by the way, did you mean to say this? You could be nice about corrections. I promise you, every single person, if you approach them and say, hey, I think you misspoke here, or did you mean to say this? That's a far better way. And they're going to be way more receptive than just becoming toxic and, saying they don't know anything or that their entire career is invalid. So, yeah.
It's so absurd. It's so absurd. Oh my God. Tib3rius, it's out of control, man. So, all right. So you've given us a ton of content, like on the Twitch. I dropped the Twitch link in chat, which I'm super pumped about. We've only got a couple minutes left. I did want to ask you about your GitHub repo. So you're really well known for auto recon, right? Like I would say, like this right here. I'll drop a link in chat. This is his baby, right? It's like bowling with bumpers, according to IPSEC right here.
That's it's an actual quote. Because he doesn't like it because but he likes me. Me and IPSEC are fine. But when he said that quote, I think he was asked about it once in Discord, and he said it's like bowling with bumpers. I had to put it on there. It's like a badge of honor.
So, I mean, if you're, one of these people we talked about a little while ago who are, kind of exploring, just maybe experimenting with bug bounties and stuff like that. I mean, is auto recon a tool that they should download and fire up? Like, can you use it for professional application, or is it more CTF?
Absolutely not.
No,
please don't. Auto recon was really made for the OCP. And I get people asking it. Like, it's technically, I mean, it's a scanning tool. You can use it on real stuff. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not. It's good in an exam against 5 hosts. It can probably scan 50, but like it really isn't it isn't optimized for that at all. And I just wouldn't recommend it. There are way better tools than auto recon for professional stuff. So I'm the first. I don't use auto recon in my everyday life. So
well, I guess that says it all.
That should probably say something. What I do like about it, and what I will say is the way when I redesigned it, because it's technically auto recon too. I did code in a plugin feature, so you can technically basically just take all the plugins out and start from scratch and make it your own. Which might be good, and I definitely recommend it because that's basically how I designed it to be made. So extremely customizable. But I wouldn't. Don't take it on customer sites and run it. I'm not going to give you support when you create an issue and say, by the way, it froze or something. Like, I don't care. Don't use it like that.
I don't care. Move on. You've been warned. So this is your GitHub repo in general, though. I know a lot of people know you for your privilege escalation efforts. You got some cheat sheets here, this Windows Priv checker. So you're really putting a lot of content on your GitHub to help other people, right?
Let's be clear. A lot of these are just forks of stuff that I've liked and wanted to keep. So like the Active Directory exploit cheat isn't mine. Anything that says forked is probably just me being like, hey, I want to just add this to my page so I can track it.
I didn't even notice.
Semi-auto recon was an April Fool's joke from a couple of years ago. I'm pretty proud of how that went. There is a video on the page that you should definitely watch at some point. It's quite amusing, but yeah.
I love it. Oh man, that's cool. So we're right up against it. So I'm not a Twitch streamer, and I know the raids exist in the Twitch space. Before we raid, is there any? I know I asked you about some upcoming projects and stuff. Is there? The Hackspace Con is definitely the next place for someone to catch you. I assume you'll be there in person.
Yep.
All right, cool. And are you the kind of person who likes people walking up to him and meeting and kind of socializing?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I'm bringing a ton of cool stickers as well. So come get your stickers. I have a bunch of them. I actually have an order of like 2,700 in the mail right now. So yeah, lots of good stickers happening.
All right, cool. Yeah. So if you're at Hackspace Con, find Tib3rius, grab 2 stickers and send me one, because I'm not gonna be able to get to Hackspace Con this year. But It would be really cool. I will be in Vegas in the summer and Wild West Hackin' Fest
Nice.
this fall. I don't know if you're going to make it to Wild West Hackin' Fest, but it's a good one.
It was in my plan, yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, then I will absolutely high five you at Wild West Hackin' Fest no matter what. It'll be cool. All right, so Tiberius. So first of all, let me just kind of cue everybody up here. Guys, chat, thank you so very much. I know we had amazing questions and like a lot of questions. I hope, for the ones I didn't answer, hopefully Tiberius did cover and touched on topics. Tiberius, thank you so much for your time and your guidance and just really sharing all your experience and knowledge with everyone in chat and bringing up some of these injustices that are happening within our own community and calling them out. I genuinely appreciate that. I know a lot of people in chat where it was resonating with them as well. So for someone who is gray in the beard here and not very cool, explain to me like what would a raid? How would we do this, Tiberius? Do we just find one and then pile in there?
I'm not sure how we're on. Okay, so if we're live on, are we live on Twitch right now?
No, I do not go to Twitch, so it'll have to be more of a manual raid. We can send people.
All right, so if you highlight over the link to Twitch there, yeah.
Who do you want to do, Al or Ziard?
Let's do it, Al. Let's do Al. Al's a friend of mine.
All right, so I'm gonna.
So if you right click that, oh yeah, just copy the URL for them.
All right, so let me do this. All right, so chat, I'm going to drop this in chat. So then once chat gets it, okay, they're just going to go in and then do we just yell Simply Cyber?
Yeah, just yell raid or Simply Cyber. Yeah, it'll be an unofficial raid. I'll come in as well and let Al know what's happening.
Okay, all right. So unofficial raid. I'm spelling unofficial incorrectly. Unofficial raid, and then we can do hashtag Simply Cyber or something so he knows what's up. All right. So, and then that's it. We just pile into his chat form.
We'll pile in as soon as this stream ends. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Okay. All right, everybody. So we're going to go pile into this one in just a hot minute. On behalf of everyone in chat, Tiberius, I want to thank you. I'm super pumped to get into this raid. Will people know it's your name in chat, in the Twitch chat?
Yeah, they know me on there. So say Tiberius sent you.
Okay, very good. All right, yeah, I don't want to get like doxed or you know what I mean? Like I don't know if there's probably like raid controls to prevent something. So I see people getting in there right now. Galaxian's in there. All right, we're gonna wrap it today. I want to thank Tiberius, and I'm super pumped to do this right now, so we can slide in there. If you guys have any questions, connect with Tiberius. He's all over social media. He's on TCM's Discord server for sure. He's on Twitter is it 0x Tiberius or just Tiberius?
Yeah, 0x Tiberius on Twitter.
Yeah, 0x Tiberius on Twitter. So definitely a follow, a great professional, a wonderful guest. And on behalf of Simply Cyber, I want to say thank you very much, Tiberius. We'll see you in the next interview.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go raid everybody. I hope you enjoyed that content. Keep the cybersecurity train going by connecting with the other Simply Cyber community resources. We have the Discord server that's lively and always keeps the conversation going. You can connect with me directly on LinkedIn. And also every single weekday morning on the Simply Cyber channel, we're doing live daily cyber threat briefings, 8 a.m. Eastern time, as well as Thursday at 4:30 p.m. We're doing live stream interviews with industry experts, and we produce videos that we push out every Wednesday morning. I'm Jerry from